Okay, so the recent media buzz about Project Renaissance surely was the so-called prototype you set online in July, if I remember correctly, and there have been many rumors and many assumptions. So can you give us some information on what prototypes are basically about, and what the last prototypes have been about, and what you want to achieve with the prototypes?
Okay, maybe some basic information about prototyping, because we often ask what was the goal about of your prototype and the prototyping phase itself. So in general, what's really important during prototyping is to consider or to explore your design space, to collect as many interesting, maybe even controversial design ideas and to try them out. So basically what you say in prototyping is prototypes are for the bin. What you create is not the final solution in prototyping, but you create ideas, you test them, and you gain some knowledge. And this is probably exactly what we did. We had a few ideas and we tried them out, and for some the evaluation was that maybe it's not suitable for our purposes, so we had come up with new ideas. And so over the time of a couple of weeks during the prototype, we realized that our initial idea was not good enough. So for basic concept it did not work. So we had to merge a few ideas, and the process of merging, it's actually what you see at the end of the prototype. So we have more than one prototype. It was not the one, but the whole process when we started to the end evolved. What you have at the end is basically a process, not of copying anything, but of thinking in different concepts, and at the end making the best out of what you have in your mind, merging ideas and trying things out, and that's basically what we did.
So we could sum it up as some sort of brainstorming with
I can maybe draw
yes.
On the board.
Yes.
So we had, what is our basic problem? You have a 2D space, and currently in OpenOffice you have so many functions and features that require UI elements, and the basic problem is if you have enabled all your toolbars, this is the space which is usually used up by the toolbars. So of course you don't need them all the time, but since we decided to improve the interaction concept within OpenOffice.org, we need to improve the access of the functionality. So this would not work. We had an idea, how can we improve the constraints or find another way to represent all the UI elements in one position. So basically what you have a 2D space. You can some sort of imagine a strip where functions are located. So it's along like a movie or something, you know. And you have some sort of context which you can set by clicking at particular places at the UI. And our basic idea was more how about we keep the menu within the interface and organize the rest in this area. Since we have not that much space, we should enlarge the space, not explicitly, but by some context, concept. However, it's not possible to have a look at the whole stripe all the time. So you would implicitly move the stripe to those positions where particular tasks are implemented or located. And we had that idea that you would have some bar here with groups, group 1, 2, 3, and then you would grab some icon and move it around, and you would go from one context to the other one. However, during testing on big screens, for instance, like we have it, was like after prototyping, we figured out, well, that does not work, because if you have a bigger screen, you would see in one group probably more than one context, and it would lead to confusion. This was the reason why I decided, I guess it was like, here is actually what we did. We have a lot of many colored pictures we've been trying to draw and to think about. So we come up with a problem, that it's on big screens, it's a different context, it's not possible to work with that concept. So we had to merge this concept with something which is more static. And in that context, since we have only 2D space, we decided, what about tubs in this area? That was another prototype we had in the Java application. This was totally different from that one, but at the end we decided to merge them. We said, okay, we will have the stripe, but we will not move it around by this tiny icon. We have like a tiny triangle, which indicates you at which position you are, and then you can, maybe on a small device, drag and drop it to another group, for instance. And this is the way how we come up with our solution. So you see, there was not just one decision. We make this concept, and this is going to be our final one, our solution, but this was a whole process of trying ideas out, merging them, and even if it was not always a successful idea, we had to learn and to come up with a new one. But this is how prototyping is. You have an idea, you try it out, and of the maybe not so successful idea, another one emerges, and that might be more successful. And prototyping is actually all about trying out and evaluating.
As the name suggests already.
Exactly.
Okay.
A prototype is never the final solution.
Okay.
It just helps you to find or to narrow down your design space to come up with a more appropriate solution at a later stage.